This is pretty much the job at hand. Engine and gearbox are out of the RX8. Engine's gonna find a new home soon, and idea is to replace it with this nice M54 3 liter. It's gonna get a bit of work first, internals and a bit of boost. So that's pretty much the long story cut short for this build. This was much easier than the MX5. There's plenty of space in here, and yeah, it actually sits very nicely in there. Everything clear, exhaust does clear very well. Plenty of space on this side to mount the charger, supercharger, somewhere next to the oil filter here, housing, maybe somewhere lower down. We'll get to that. On the underside, yeah, it does power steering. It's massive power steering, electric power steering rack. It's definitely not gonna work. It's either gonna get a big offset, or there are some options to do an MX5NC rack in there. So yeah, that's for another day, but yeah, quite happy with this. There is a bit of room in here even for a decent radiator. Might chop this front bit off and do some tubing to make it to get more space in there. And the sump, to be honest, the sump looks good as well. It's not low, it's barely, pretty much even with the subframe. Doesn't look like I'm gonna need to chop the subframe in any way to fit that sump in this position, or maybe just a bit. There's a bit of interference there, nothing major. Alrighty, so after a lot of fiddling, the engine is pretty much in. Got the mount all welded up, rubber mounts. I had to get some rubber mounts, OEM mounts, for just for mocking up, because I didn't have anything else. So those are BMW ones. On this side, it's a fairly long one. As you can see, but some reinforcements there. It's sitting okay. I really would have loved to get it a bit lower. That's why I cut that big chunk out of the subframe, but the sump, it's fairly at the right level now, not too low, but I would have loved to have it a bit lower in terms of bonnet fitting. It's probably gonna need a small bulge, but well, I'm gonna have to see about that a bit later on. It's not really in the center of the car, center axis of the car, because of this side. Couldn't really get it too much to the left, so yeah, it's sitting a bit to the passenger side in terms of crank axis, but that should be good for balance. Then in terms of power steering, that's gonna be another slight challenge, because that would have never gonna work, as we've seen before. So what I'm gonna try to do is to put this nice E46 purple tag, which is known for being a good rack, quick rack, quick ratio, and yeah, I'm just trying to get that aligned. I'm trying to get it as close as possible to the location of the joint, so the axis of the rack should be close to this ball joint point. I'm gonna use a very cheap technique to do that. A bit of string should give me an indication of where the actual axis of this should be. I did mock it up a bit. The problem I might have is with the connection to the actual steering column, which is not, it's gonna be probably a bit too close to this support, but I might put a notch in it or something and it should be fine. So yeah, definitely making some progress. I think this getting this in a decent location was the biggest challenge. I did fiddle around quite a lot to try to get it aligned and as low as possible and as far back as possible. I put a big hole in there in the firewall just to get it as far back as possible. So yeah, pretty happy with how it looks at the moment.